following podcast contains references to the consumption of alcohol. If you are not of legal drinking age, please do not consume alcohol. Also, if you are of legal drinking age, please drink responsibly.
Hi, and welcome to Rhetorical Magic Cocktail Hour. My name is Ryan, and my favorite phase of the moon is a waxing gibbon.
Ooh, that's my favorite monkey. I don't want to explain. That was a bad joke. Hi, I'm Matthew, and I made the bad joke. And my favorite phase of the moon is a waning crescent. Because I like the end of things.
Look at you.
There's a train going.
We're just all sorts of happenings today.
That's what we call the distraction train.
We love it.
Yes.
This is a podcast where we like to have a drink and try to be succinct about various topics and goings-ons. Matthew, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight, there's a party on the rooftop. What are the lyrics? Whatever. Hot Shell Ray. I'm drinking a LaCroix. It's a black raspberry.
Ooh.
Which is maybe my current favorite since I can't find hibiscus anymore for some reason. Probably because it's not summertime, but it's almost summertime.
It's almost
I quoted Hot Shell Ray, so it's almost summertime. You can always tell when summer's about to start because Hot Shell Ray comes out. It's like the first real sign of summer happening. What are you drinking?
Currently I'm drinking water because previous to recording I had a couple peepers with some Irishmen.
Did the Irishmen drink peepers or did they drink Guinness?
I don't know what they drank. We didn't really ask. It was just hey, we're drinking tonight, right?
It's the Sunday Irish. They don't know what it is.
Maybe let's not make assumptions about Irish folk drinking.
In my defense, I'm like a fourth Irish.
Oh, right. Perfect.
I'm mostly Scottish, so maybe I shouldn't.
But we're not talking about Irishmen or genealogy. That could be fun one day, though. Who knows?
Who knows?
We are talking
Ancestry.com.
Yeah.
So I've got the lowdown.
My sister did the 23andMe, so I assume we have the same genes. At least close enough for it to not matter.
Well, I thought you and your sister had half because your dad was Sasquatch and hers wasn't.
Oh. Hilarious. We're not talking about parents and my relation to Sasquatch. We are talking about the second greatest cryptids, the Twilight vampires. That's right. We're talking about Eclipse.
I thought you were going to say the movies were cryptids. Yeah.
Eclipse, the third installment of the Twilight saga. I, of course, was a teenager when they came out, so I watched them all, and Matthew somehow missed it.
I was too busy reading Aragon. We've established this.
So, as a fun little treat, I have been making him slowly watch each movie, and then tonight we're gonna talk about it, and I think Matthew has some questions that I'm gonna do my best to answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I think first we're gonna do my favorite part, which is make Matthew tell us the plot to Twilight Eclipse.
Before I do my horrible recap, I need to ask one question.
Okay.
Of my questions. And it was, the end of New Moon was him proposing to her, right? Him being Edward, her being Bella.
Yes.
Okay. Because the way this movie started made me kind of confused about that.
You're like, wow, I've already seen this.
Okay. But I guess I was wrong. That's not the way this movie begins. The way this movie begins is there's a man walking around, and then all of a sudden he gets knocked down, and he does not get up again. He is not Chumbawamba. And he's got a bite mark on his hand, I think?
Hand or arm.
Yeah, somewhere. He's been bitten. And not by...
the love bug.
Yeah. To quote the Jonas Brothers. Chumbawamba and the Jonas Brothers are our viewpoints for this episode, so keep that in mind. So then we cut away. Now I believe it's Bella and Edward hanging out in their field, which I think is the same one from last movie.
I feel like the meadow is a recurring setting, yes.
Yeah. Because it symbolizes her purity.
Okay.
And he proposes again, and she says no. And then he proposes thrice, including the New Moon one. And she says no, she has an English final. And as we all know, you can't get married when you have an English final.
You can't get married when you have an English final.
So he's like, okay. Then I don't 100% remember what happens directly after that, so we're going to go to the part where they're eating lunch at school, and Anna Kendrick and Susie Crabgrass and Movie Boy and other friend are all there. And they're like, oh my god, we're about to graduate. It's so great. And then Anna Kendrick is like, I'm valedictorian, I gotta write a speech. And then it's like, wait a minute. Is this The Amazing Spider-Man 2? Because they're graduating and there's gonna be a speech. Never been done in movies before.
Okay.
I don't know.
I think the more accurate would be, is this the Lizzie McGuire movie?
Do they graduate in the Lizzie McGuire movie? I thought they just went to like Europe.
They graduate at the very beginning. It is 8th grade graduation, which makes the rest of the movie that much more confusing.
Wait. They're like 30. But we're not talking about that. So, Jacob is ghosting Bella.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, when they're talking, Alice is like, I'm gonna throw a party. And then all the vampires are just like, what? And then there's a lot of introspection about said party.
Mm-hmm. Do you know why they were concerned about the party?
Because of Bella's birthday in New Moon, where she gets thrown into a table.
Yeah, all connected.
Yeah. And then I want to say, next we go visit Charlie at work, and he's working the case of the man who we saw at the beginning. Although, we might have gotten a little more insight into the man at the beginning since then, and that he is part of a newborn vampire army. I think that it like bounces.
It's back close enough. Also, his name is Riley. If you're
Riley Beers.
Yep.
I remember
Yep.
because they show like his missing poster because his parents are reported him missing, and the headshot they used make him look like he's 40 years old, and it said his date of birth was 1990, and I was like, no. And also that headshot did not look anything like the actor, so I thought that was a completely different character. I was like, where's this going? And then eventually somebody said that was him, and I was like, oh, it was just a bad headshot. So some more stuff happens. They have the party after graduation, after Anna Kendrick's amazing speech that everybody loves. It's iconic. You know it. You've seen it. You've heard it.
You love it.
You love
you live it.
You laugh it. You love it. And during the party, Alice has a vision of the newborns passing around a shirt of Bella's to get her scent.
Yep.
Which do we know why they had that shirt?
Yeah, her house got broken into.
Oh yeah, her house got broken into.
But it was like a broken into because she knows vampires exist kind of way. Like her house wasn't ransacked or anything.
Mm-hmm. Right. So then they're like, there's a newborn army and they're after Bella and we gotta train. But we're not enough to go up against the newborn army. We gotta go recruit the wolves. And everybody's favorite jort boys are back. Still not wearing shirts, still wearing jorts. Mm-hmm. Being goofy. And then more stuff happens. I feel like I was paying attention. But the entire plot has left my mind. So basically what happens is the wolves and the Cullens have a truce to fight the newborn army. Mm-hmm. And they...
Can I provide a hint of context?
Sure.
To maybe help jog some memory? Do you
Yes.
remember Victoria from the first one?
Yep,
And they
'cause
killed
it's not
James's...
the same. It's not the same Victoria this time, and we're going to get into that.
Yes, it's different, but
yes, I
so
I did
she's
remember
leading
that.
the army
Mm-hmm. I did
and wants
remember
to
that
kill
part,
Bella.
but I
It's
thought
not
that
just
happened. I thought that was revealed later.
Or
Or does Alice? Because there's a weird plot point where they're like, Victoria says something to where it's like, I can't make any decisions. That way Alice doesn't know it's me. But it's like, but
Yeah.
you've already made decisions by not making decisions. So shouldn't Alice know? But we'll get into that later.
I think in New Moon, like, it's hinted that Victoria is after her, because there's that scene where you have like the crazy red hair swimming towards Bella after she jumps off a cliff.
Mm-hmm.
So like they kind of always knew Victoria was going to be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the wolves had been hunting Victoria, who had been hanging out around.
Right, because she killed...
Separately.
She killed, Or wait, no. Did she kill a wolf, or did she kill... No, she killed Charlie's
someone
friend.
on the reservation. Harry Clearwater.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. I remember this now.
Yes. Which was different in the book. Did we talk about that last time?
We did, because I remember
Okay.
last time being like, this felt unearned, and you're like, it's different in the book, and it's executed a little bit better in the book, I think is what you told me.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, it just kind of happens, and it's just like, okay, that was
Yeah.
interesting. But yes, Victoria is making the army, and she's going after Bella for killing her. Or no, she's going after Bella because Edward killed James, and she wants to kill Bella in retribution.
Yeah.
And then I feel like a lot happened, but in my mind, it's just like they train for a little bit and then they fight.
So getting the wolves to agree took some time.
Mm-hmm.
There's like this big scene where
Oh.
like the Cullens are chasing Victoria off the reservation, and then she jumps over to the reservation, and then Emmett tries to cross onto the reservation to get her, and they have that treaty where they're not allowed, so a wolf attacked Emmett, and then Carlisle was like, we have to come to an understanding because we have a common enemy.
Yes. And I also did forget a big part where Jacob kisses Bella and she does not feel it and she punches him.
Yep. Breaks her hand.
Edward's like, no thank you, sir. My woman. But yes. What were you going to say? Do you remember?
So yeah, there's that, and then there's like the training montage. We also get a peek into Jasper's life.
Which we will address in my questions and concerns.
Okay, so we get a little peek into Jasper's life, and he's really good at fighting, so he kind of takes on the training of the wolves and teaching them how to fight well against newborns.
Because newborns still have that human strength that everybody's famous for.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. They're just extra unruly, and so you have to
Yeah.
be extra careful. And then it comes down to, like, the newborns are coming, it comes down to the big fight.
is this the same place where they played baseball in that first one?
I don't
or am
know.
I just making that up in my head?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I really don't know. I didn't think that far ahead.
Fair enough.
But they decide that Bella cannot be present at the big fight. So Edward and Jacob take her camping
On the summit of a mountain.
a little bit far away. I don't remember. Yes, she does. Never mind. Okay, we'll get to that in a second. But they go up there. It's freezing because it's the Pacific Northwest in winter. Which doesn't make the most sense because they just graduated. But I guess time could have passed.
I feel like maybe May is still maybe cold, snowy up that high in the mountains.
Who knows?
I don't know. I'm from the Midwest, baby.
Timelines don't have to make sense. It's Twilight. So they go camping. Bella's freezing, and since Edward doesn't have any blood in his body,
He can't
Jacob
spoon
gets
her.
in and snuggles her. They have this big thing. They talk about, like, Edward and Jacob, like, talk about how Jacob could make her happy.
Oh, we forgot a major plot point.
What did we forget?
Bella finally says yes, like midway through the movie, to the proposals. And she's engaged at this point to Edward.
Yeah.
But they don't want to tell
before
Jacob because
Yeah.
Bella wants him to go into the fight with a clear mind.
Yes. And then Edward lets it slip.
Wink!
Wink. Accidentally. Oops. Those lips are loose. What?
Loose lips sink ships.
And
Not relevant.
put wolves at risk.
Yes.
And so Jacob runs off, right? I like how I took over your caption. What happens
That's
next?
fine. You remember a lot more than I do. Well, before that, he gets all worked up, and then Bella's like, kiss me. And then they kiss for some reason. And then she goes back to Edward, and she's like, do you know what just happened? He's like, Jacob's thoughts are pretty loud. And then Jacob goes to join everybody, and Seth comes to guard Edward and Bella. And then I want to say the fight happens. The big old fight happens.
Yeah, the big old fight is happening, but Victoria knows where they are, and Victoria comes up the mountain
With Riley.
where Bella and Edward are. And so there's two big fights. There's the big fight
The big fight.
with
and then
all
there's
the
big fight.
and then there's like the bigger, more important fight.
Bigger in like a cosmic sense of the word.
Yes. So things are happening. Fights are ensuing. Riley ends up killing Victoria, doesn't he?
No, Riley... They try to get Riley to turn on her because they're like, she doesn't love you, she's only doing this because she loves James. But then he still attacks them, and I think Seth kills him.
Okay.
And then Victoria attacks Edward and Bella, and Edward rips her head off.
There we go. So you remember stuff. And then the big fight is happening downstairs.
Downstairs.
Down the mountain with all the other guys. And, oh, we have not mentioned the Volturi once, and they're just kind of, like, aware of it and wanting to see what happens because the Volturi hate the Cullens.
Mm-hmm.
Side note.
And there's also like a young girl newborn who's
Named
kind
Bree?
of Bree, who we're kind
Bree
of
Tanner.
following, but she's not really that big of a plot point until she needs to be. But yeah, so basically, Bree doesn't want to fight, and she's kind of like scared. And Carlisle and Esme,
Yep.
Esme.
Renee is Bella's mom. And
okay.
Trash.
In my defense, they look like they're played by the same actor.
That's fair.
Find Bree, and they're like, hey, you can chill with us if you don't want to fight.
Mm-hmm.
So then, once all's said and done, it's like the Cullens are all still alive, and Bree's still alive, and the Volturi show up, and just like, they talk, but I don't remember exactly what they talk about.
So the Cullens, like, thinly accuse the Volturi of being aware of it and letting it happen. Like, the rise of the newborn army. And the Volturi were like, obviously, if we knew, we would have done something about it. And then the Volturi order that all newborns be killed. The Cullens try to adopt Bree, but the Volturi say, nope.
She gets crunched by Felix.
She does. And then I want to say that in the scuffle of all of that, because I want to say that it calmed down, and then there's like a newborn that wasn't knocked out yet or hiding in the trees, went to go attack
Oh, yeah.
Leah, and so Jacob tries to jump to like protect her, and because that's a big thing that Jasper tells him is a no-no, is don't let a newborn get their arms around you because they'll just break your ribs.
Yeah.
A newborn gets their arms around Jacob, crunches his ribs, and they're like, oh no! And so... Whoopsie. I think you mean woofsie.
Oh.
Oh! That's a joke I made.
Quality joke.
And then Carlisle gets approved to go onto the reservation to care for Jacob because they can't take him to a real hospital because they don't. Did the Cullens already have Jacob's blood? Because I remember them saying something about how it's genetically different. Or maybe he realized it after the fact because he took the blood when he was helping Jacob. That might be a next movie thing that they deal with.
I don't remember anything about Jacob's blood at all, so I'll trust you on this one.
Okay. See, that's the problem when you've seen everything, is you know the whole story, and so it's like, it all blends together. Mm-hmm. And again, this whole series happens in like 6 months. Um, so they're on the reservation. They essentially have to like re-break Jacob's ribs because wolves heal really quickly.
Yeah, so
And
they
it's
were
like a
setting
whole
wrong.
yeah. And it's like a whole painful bad thing. And so they deal with that, and then Bella goes in to see Jacob, and it's kind of like her final goodbye. Like, she, like, breaks up with him, and she's like, yeah, I still choose Edward.
Mm-hmm.
It's devastating. And then I want to say that Edward proposes again, and then is the, like, yeah, she already said yes, but is the last line, like, okay, but you have to tell Charlie?
She doesn't propose again. He puts the ring on her finger because she wasn't wearing the ring, so
Okay.
Jacob wouldn't see. And they're like, "We got to tell, you got to do something dangerous now." And Edward's like, "What's that?" And she's like, "Tell Charlie."
Okay.
That is the last like joke of the movie, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's another proposal.
Well, okay.
It's just
Proposals aren't
formalizing
official
everything.
till you're wearing the ring. But yeah, and that's Twilight Eclipse. Matthew said that he prepared some questions, and
Yes.
I am ready for them. But first, do we want to take a quick hydration station?
I was actually going to suggest that, just
Okay.
to break up in a convenient and pleasing way.
Yes.
Hello, and welcome to Hydration Station, the part of the show where we take a sip of water.
Good water.
Good mood food. That's an Arby's slogan. I was trying to think of a
Interesting
way
slogan.
to make a Twilight reference, or Twilight Saga reference, that included water. But one escapes me.
Remember that part in New Moon where Bella jumps off a cliff and lands into the water?
Mm-hmm. That's too hydrated, though.
Remember when in New Moon when Bella runs through a fountain in Italy?
No. I remember her being in Italy, but I don't remember her running through a fountain.
Yeah, she like runs through a fountain to like cut across the courtyard to like tackle Edward. So that way he would know she's alive and not to expose himself. Bad phrase, but it is what happens.
To show off his shiny skin. Is maybe
Yes.
a better way to say that. And that was Hydration Station.
So yeah, Matthew has some questions for me about Twilight, and I am ready to answer.
Yeah, these are my questions, comments, and concerns that I wrote down watching the movie. Some of these aren't questions, some of these are just general talking points.
Also, have we ever made the stance of if we're Team Edward or Team Jacob?
I think so.
Damn it. I was going to say,
But
if not, then we definitely need to save that for the end.
I think mine has changed, though.
Ooh. Okay. Sorry,
okay.
back to your questions.
So my first question is not a question. It's more of a statement. But the statement is, hair and makeup did an oopsie on Bryce Dallas Howard with that hair. Because they were obviously trying to make her hair look like previous actress whose name I do not remember, Rochelle Willafleur?
Yes,
like
I know who you're talking about, so yes.
Because she has like curly red hair. And so they do that to Bryce Dallas Howard, but she looks like Shirley Temple. And it took me immediately out of the movie.
So bad job, costuming department. Twilight notoriously has had issues with wigs.
Yeah, that was my other comment, was all the vampires' hair is awful. But I feel like I know why hers is.
Yeah.
And also, I don't know that it's necessarily on hair and makeup. It might just be like a directorial choice to just be like, They won't know who it is if she doesn't have curly hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. Do we know why that role got recast? Was it just like a scheduling conflict, or was there like
I don't
drama?
know, actually. I will look that up.
Okay. While you're looking that up, I'll just throw out my next talking point was, I don't care about the newborns. They keep like showing what the newborns are up to, and it's like, okay, we're burning screen time up here for something that doesn't really feel like it's going to pay off, and really it doesn't. Because I feel like this is the only movie that they're in, right? The Newborn Army. Because all of them
yes.
got by the end of the film.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the only time, like, you hear about the concept of newborns. I think it's just setting up to show, like, how unhinged Bella is going to be. Okay. And later, to just get you used to the idea of, like, okay, new vampires are not, like, the perfectly curated, calm beings that we're used to seeing.
They go hog wild.
It was just scheduling conflicts. There wasn't anything super spicy that happened between the Victorias.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of wish they would have kept the same actress, but I get it.
Especially because, like, yeah, she's technically in the movie. Like, she's a big part of the movie, but she doesn't get a lot of screen time. So, like, they could have made it work. Yeah,
I agree. My next one is, yikes, that one's a Confederate soldier.
Yep.
You're gonna have to remind me what his name is again, because I don't remember.
Jasper.
I kept thinking Emmett, and I was like, no, that's the other one.
No, Emmett got mauled by a bear, and then Rosalie found him in the woods and fell in love with him. Is that a fun game we should play? Is how did the Cullens all become vampires?
That was another question I had was, have we seen all the rest of their backstories? Because we get 2 backstories in this one. And I feel like we've seen Edward's.
Who's the other backstory?
Rosalie.
Is that in this one?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought that was a New Moon for some reason.
It might have been in both. But it was for sure in this one.
I feel like that was in New Moon. It was for sure in this one?
Mm-hmm.
So then Edward... Okay, so it kind of... So there was, like, the Charlie bit, and then there was the second bit at the end where they're like, oh, yeah, because I remember the Volturi placed an ultimatum on the Cullens that Bella, because after New Moon she was supposed to be a vampire. Mm-hmm. Edward makes them take a vote. That happened in New Moon. Yeah, that happened in New Moon.
And the reason we get Rosalie backstory is because she's not mad at Bella, but like she's kind of upset because she didn't get a choice to be a vampire, but Bella does, and Bella still wants to be one. Yeah. And Rosalie thinks she's making a mistake. Yeah. But I feel like have we seen Alice's or Carlisle?
No, and so Carlisle was like one of the original Volturi.
That's right, because he had his painting in the thing.
Yeah. So he was a part of that, and so, like, it's kind of, like, I know that there's actual lore if you, like, read, like, the Twilight Encyclopedic whatever. Mm-hmm. So, like, he's been around for, like, the way longest, and then he defected?
Yeah, left. He technically, like, the sire of all of them? All the
Cullens? Not all of the Cullens. Not of, Rosalie, yes. Emmett, yes. Edward, Esme, yes, but not Alice and Jasper.
Do we find out who sired them?
So it's been so long, and I don't know if I got it right. So either James sired Alice, or James was just obsessed with Alice.
Oh, yeah.
I Has that been brought up? Is that ringing a bell for you?
That sounds familiar.
Alice was in, like, a mental institution.
Okay.
And then, no, okay, James was obsessed with her and, like, drove her mad through the process of hunting her. So she was sent to a mental institution because she was, like, essentially, like, I'm being hunted by vampires. And this is in, like, I want to say the 20s, I think. Was in a mental institution, obviously treated like shit. A different vampire comes through and takes pity on her, changes her. She kills a whole bunch of people at the asylum, and then realizes that she can kind of see the future. Knows that, the timeline feels wrong, because knows that her and Jasper are going to end up together and live with the Cullens, and so, like, waits until Jasper is, like, willing to turn into a vegetarian vampire, because that's what they're gonna have to do to live with the Cullens.
Oh, yeah, and then this one we find out that Jasper was sired by that lady vampire in Texas.
Yes.
Maria?
Because he's a fucking Confederate.
Yeah, that's a choice.
Listen. Listen, there were states that he could have kept that accent and still been in the Union.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a common trope in, like, vampire, especially modern vampire things. Like, I think in the Vampire Diaries there's another Confederate vampire. And I'm like, why? Why?
Why?
Because it doesn't make sense. And, like, yeah, you can say, like, well, they have time to, like, grow with the times. And, like, how many old people do you know that have grown with the times? They hold on to their racist bullshit for way too long.
Yeah, Edward hasn't changed with the times, and he's older than Jasper.
Yeah, and so I'm like, that just sounds like an excuse for racism. But it's fine.
Yeah.
It's not. It's gross. But we move past it.
Yeah, for sure. What were you gonna say? Sorry.
I was just gonna go through, so we know how Rosalie was, because Rosalie ended up at the hospital, I think, that Colin was, like, working at, and he turned her.
I think what they say, like, she gets attacked by the man she's seeing and left for dead, and they just said that Carlisle found her.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think they necessarily say.
But yes, he did turn her. He turned Edward and Esme. If I remember correctly, he turned Edward first, and then he and Edward found Esme. And then Carlisle he turned Rosalie because she was dying and in pain and didn't deserve the life that she was at. But also to kind of try and get Edward a mate. Which is one of the reasons Stephenie Meyer tried to write Rosalie as hating Bella, because Edward was interested in Bella but not Rosalie.
Okay.
But that's just misogyny.
Not great. Well, luckily, that doesn't come through in the movie. As far as I could tell.
Yeah, that might be more of a book thing. And then, Emmett literally was, I think he was trying to fight a bear, and then I think he got attacked by a bear, and Rosalie found him.
I like it better that he was trying to fight a bear. Just big old himbo in the woods.
Well, now he loves fighting. Like, that's his favorite thing, is he likes fighting animals, like his vengeance.
But to kind of piggyback off this line of thought, I guess, do the vampire backstories, like, pay off in any interesting way? Or are they just sort of, like, fleshing out?
It's just fleshing out.
Okay. Because that was another thing in the movie. It's like, I mean, it's nice to get some backstory, but also we're eating up some screen time here that I feel could have been used better.
Yeah, and especially because it's not consistent, because it's not like every single one it like lays out like this is how, and they don't get like extra screen time. It's just like mentioned in passing or
Yeah. Because I kind of thought that we were going to get one of those for each of the colons
Nope.
that we hadn't seen, but nope, just those two.
just those. Well, three,
And I
because
mean-
Edward too.
Well, I meant in this movie.
Okay, yeah.
But I mean, I guess Rosalie's kind of... Well, except it doesn't really. I was about to say it almost kind of pays off because it, like, helps you understand her position of Bella
Like
has
her
a choice.
not being, yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, you don't really need to see it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's just part of it. It's Twilight, baby. It doesn't have to make
Twilight,
sense. All right, what other questions you got?
This one is more of a statement, but I really liked like the Wolf Cullen interactions in this one
Okay.
because I feel like the first movie very much is vampires, the second movie is very much the wolves, and in this one it feels like it comes together in a really like satisfying way.
You're gonna love the next two, buddy.
Is that sarcasm or is that...
No, like it you get like a lot more of like interaction, and like you learn more about both sides as far as like how the interactions go.
Okay. Because, yeah, I was like, I could use more of, like, the Cullens and the wolves interacting and less of the newborns.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you learn a lot more about the there's
Like
definitely more of that to come.
Okay. Because, yeah, both the prior two movies were kind of one-sided, but this one felt like the most... fleshed
Cohesive.
out. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
My next thought is Bella felt like she was in a different movie. Kind of.
Can you expand?
I mean, she kind of interacts with like the wolf newborn Cullen stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like by and large, she's off with Edward or Jacob, and then the rest of that stuff is happening.
Yeah.
And I would have kind of liked to have her more involved with the other storylines since she's like the protagonist.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand that want.
Yeah, I don't know.
It comes from the place of, like, she's the only human, so, like, she needs the most protection.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, obviously, she's the fleshiest, so she's gonna, like, she can't, like, there's, like a scent thing about the wolves that, like, the vampires can't stand, so, like, they're probably not gonna get bit by a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
But she would get eaten.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
yeah.
no, I get wanting that interaction because she does kind of take on like a secondary role as far as like doing things.
Yeah, because I mean, she's maybe the one character in the film where I could not tell you a single thing she does except for say yes to the proposal off the top of my head. It's like everybody else has a moment where I could be like, Alice has the vision at the party, or Jasper's a racist, or Jacob gets crunched. But
Yeah.
I mean, well, I guess really in that same vein, Edward doesn't really have that many moments either.
No, they very like a lot of things are happening around them, but don't necessarily involve them for sure.
Next thought is I like the Volturi setup stuff, kind of in the same vein of like the Cullens and the wolves interacting. Like it felt like they're setting up the Volturi as like the big bad of the series now that Victoria's gone. And
Yes.
I'm interested to see how that plays out in the future.
I'm excited for you to see.
Let's see. The Colin's powers are confusing.
It's random, it doesn't make sense, and they don't explain why some vampires have powers and others don't. They just do.
Okay. Because I was like, I could get it if, like, all the vampires kind of had those powers, but for whatever reason, they were stronger with those powers. And maybe that is the case, and I just haven't.
This might be a bit of a spoiler, but you just don't know that many vampires. And, like, the Volturi collect vampires that have powers.
Okay. Which, because they did say that they wanted Alice and Edward. Mm-hmm.
Yes, because they both have powers.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of why they're moving against the Collins.
Yes.
Is to get rid of the rest of them so they can have Edward and Alice.
Yes.
Can Jasper control people's emotions?
Yeah, but that's not like that's like a secondary trait. That's not as impactful, and I think that it's like hidden well.
Okay. Because there was that one point where he said something to the effect of my ability to control people's emotions. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
They kind of bring it up in New Moon before the party when Alice invites Bella at school. And she, like, warms up to the idea. And then as soon as they walk away, she turns and she's like, whoa, Jasper, not cool with the mood-altering thing. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
So they just, like, throw it at you.
Missed that.
Yeah. Yeah, he is able to control. And that's the thing, too, like, in the Volturi, there's a lot of cool ones. Like, I don't remember all their names, but there's one who, like, their power is, like, their ability to, like, sever and strengthen connections between two people. Which is, like, an interesting concept that you don't think about a lot, but, like...
Yeah. Does that...
But also, like, why didn't they just bring them to do the thing for Edward and Alice and just, like, have them break ties with the Cullens and then strengthen it?
That sounds like a plot-breaking power.
Yeah. It's a whole thing. But an interesting concept nonetheless. You will learn, like, you'll meet a lot more vampires in the next two movies. And quite a few of them have powers.
Does Dakota Fanning have powers?
Yes. She can, like, look at you and make you feel pain.
That's right, because she does that to Bree.
Yeah. And there's, her brother, Alec. So it's Jane is Dakota Fanning, and then Alec, he can, like, emit a cloud of, like, mist that is, like, pure black, and it, like, cuts off, like, all senses, and, like, it's, like, maddening, and it might be painful, too. I don't remember.
So he eats Taco Bell. Heyo.
Heyo.
Quality joke.
Quality joke. So yeah, like, you're gonna meet a lot more vampires in the next one. I don't want to spoil too much, but there's a lot of powers, and it's more common. But again, I don't think there's an explanation as to why some vampires get it and some don't.
Okay. Thank you. That makes more sense to me now. My next question is, was Jacob so incel-y in the prior two movies? Because he's really incel, like, in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, in the previous ones, and, like, we're not gonna just, like, keep talking about the same stuff, but, like, in the previous ones we talked about, like, the depiction of indigenous peoples in the movies are just not good, but yeah, he becomes very possessive and and I think that a part of it is played into, like, it's to make the audience assume that he is imprinted on Bella, and objectively, Edward is not the best course of action for her to live her life.
Okay.
And is a pretty severe threat. But it plays into, like, tropes that are just, like, unhealthy of, like, a very possessive partner, like, semi-abusive at times, withholding, kind of gaslighting, and all of these weird things. But yeah, it definitely comes off very incelish. And I don't think that those traits aren't there, but I think they're very amplified.
Yeah, it felt like they changed his character in between movies to me. But maybe I'm just not remembering New Moon that well.
It was also just very different as, like, how they were existing because he wasn't interacting with the Cullens for most of the movie. So, like, when the vampires are around, that's where the issues start to come up. Also, they talk about in Eclipse about how, like... So, like, Leah and Seth are brother and sister.
Mm-hmm.
And Leah is the first woman to ever take on, like, the shape-shifting gene.
Right.
And Seth is the youngest, and he's, like... I want to say he was, like, 13. Like, he was, like, stupid young.
He's a little bean.
Yeah, he's very young. And that's because of, like, the influx. So, like, the amount of vampires plays into, like, how many wolves and, like, how strong the wolf gene comes to be, because it wasn't prevalent in the previous generation because the Cullens had moved away, and so there wasn't, like, an influx of vampires in the area. So it, like, skipped if I remember correctly, it skipped a generation and then came back. It might have skipped a few generations, even.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess.
I don't remember what your question was, so I apologize for this info dumping about Twilight.
It was the Jacob being so incel-y.
Oh.
I think we addressed that. My next comment is, I feel like a lot of stuff was left out, but they didn't cut parts that should have been cut because things were left out. Like, Bree felt like a character who has a bigger presence in the book that they didn't really translate over.
Bree also gets her own novella.
Okay. Because, yeah, it's like, this feels like she's going to be an important character, and she's maybe in, like, 2 minutes of the movie.
I think the point of Bree's existence in the movie is to solidify that the Cullens are always willing to accept a new challenge and grow and adapt with the times and, like, create a space for, like, a better vampire future, and the Volturi are stuck in their ways, is kind of, like, why she existed. Because she was willing to change, but she wasn't given the opportunity because of the Volturi.
Okay. That makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. There were just points where it was just like something would happen, and I feel like I had missed something that I don't think was in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like back in New Moon when what's his name dies, Mr. Clearwater. I don't remember what his first name is, Harry. But it's like this feels like something that was a big plot point in the book that they just didn't have time to put in the movie. But they didn't, like, change the plot in any way to adjust for that.
Mm-hmm. And then it wasn't even how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's maybe, like, my biggest maybe gripe of the movie. It's just, like, it felt like there were things that should have just been, like, 100% cut that were maybe not completely cut.
Mm-hmm.
And it would have been fine.
Yeah.
I don't know. My last question is hell canonically real in Twilight?
I mean, it was written by a Christian Mormon woman, so yeah.
Okay. Because Edward keeps saying stuff about, like, he wants to not damn her soul. It's like, is that for sure gonna happen?
And that's the thing, it's like, how are you gonna find out because you're gonna be alive forever? Like...
Unless you get crunched.
Yeah. Which,
What
knowing those
happens when
wacky Cullens, they're probably gonna get crunched.
Yeah. When vampires die, do they go to hell? Right?
I don't know. I think it's hinted that because they're monsters. But also, Edward did, like, a whole bunch of murdering. So...
Oh, maybe that's it. Maybe that's why he's damned.
Maybe that's gonna damn him a bit more than just, like, existing.
Yeah. That makes sense. So those are my questions, comments, and concerns.
Okay.
Uh, did you have any talking points that you wanted to?
No, I absolutely love yours though. I enjoyed just getting to sit by and be a little Twilight expert for a bit. What are your kind of like final takeaways of the movie?
So my final takeaways are, like I said, I really liked the wolves calling Volturi stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like there were things that were left out that probably would have made it a more complete experience. And I don't know. I went into this one with maybe more of an open mind than I would have, not having seen New Moon and Twilight. Because every time we watched one of these before, I would go in just be like, okay, I'm not going to enjoy this. And I could come out of it just being like, that was fine. And so I was going in with that kind of mindset, and it was fine.
How many moons would you rate Twilight Eclipse?
I would rate it 2 full moons and a waxing crescent. So not quite 3, but almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you rate it?
Yeah, I would say like 2.25 moon.
That's fair.
It was fine. It's not my favorite one. We're getting into some of my the last 2 are my favorites, but like for very like these are garbage. And I'm so excited for you to witness it. Final takeaways that I have from the movie are it kind of sets up for the next, but not really. It kind of feels, I feel like this one is pretty disjointed from the others. Like, I feel like it's like a build-up, and then this one happens, and it's just kind of like, that was weird, and then the next one happens. So that will be interesting. I'm very excited for you to watch the next 2. And that's going to lead me to my last question of the evening. What do you think is going to happen in the next one?
In the next one?
Yeah.
I feel like the next one is going to be like the Deathly Hallows Part 1, We Don't Support TERFs. But, where it's like, and really like Dune Part 1, where nothing really happens, but it's a lot of exposition.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like, I was promised Zendaya and she's in this for like 2 minutes, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I assume the last one is gonna have a big fight with the wolves, the Cullens, and the Volturi. But I don't know. Oh, well, I do know that the next one is the next one where they get married and they break the bed because they bone so hard.
Yes, that is the next one.
I know that happens. So that's maybe like a fourth of the movie. I don't know what the other 3/4 are going to be, but that's going to for sure happen. And then I feel like the rest of it's just going to be like, oh, something's going to happen next time.
Next time on Twilight. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. All will be revealed when we watch the next one.
Yep. Excited for it.
I think what we should do is we should watch both of them. It's like record an episode, watch in the same day.
Okay, yeah.
So that way we're just over inundated with all that Twilight knowledge.
Yeah, we're just going to need to figure out a day where we can set aside a whole day.
Yeah, it's going to be like a 6 hour.
6 to 8 hour recording session.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I'm down.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, as long as we don't record... As long as we record part 1 before we watch part 2.
Yeah, 100%.
I don't want any spoilers.
Yeah. Don't want to taint your knowledge.
I don't want taint.
This has been Rhetorical Magic Cocktail Hour. Stay good to each other. Be buddies. And as we say at the end of every episode, clink. Clink. Kinda. Perfect.
Yes.
We're doing the damn thing. Hi.
Wait.
And welcome. Nope. Oh, fuck.
We're not doing the damn thing. We're messing up.